Hello, Lisa. It looks like we're live.
Hello.
Welcome. Thank you for agreeing to chat today, taking time out of your day on one of your precious off work days.
I'm working
And
afternoons tonight.
oh, okay, so you're going to have a long evening. Well, thank you. And I would love it if you could introduce yourself to everyone.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lisa Mathieu. I'm a medical radiation technologist at the Timmins District Hospital. I live in Timmins, Ontario, and I'm married and I have a 2.5-year-old named Clara. I work a lot of shift work, and my weeks are always different, week to week, month to month. So it's hard to juggle with my husband being shift work as well. And I've been struggling with migraines since I would say since I was in college. So since I was about 18 years old.
Long time. Thank you for
Yeah.
that intro. And another sort of career that isn't easy to manage through with when dealing with a lot of pain, symptomatic days, especially, the cognitive issues and like the yeah, head region pain.
Yeah.
It's really tough with what you do. And I know you mentioned shift work and I know you work like late nights sometimes. So
Mhm.
not exactly conducive to, what migraine people need, but you're making it work now. But I know that when we first got introduced, you had been transitioning back into work like not long before that, right?
Yeah.
After having, your daughter and being with her at home because she was just like a baby when I
That's
think we
right.
first got introduced. And then when you started in the program, yeah, she was maybe around 2 years old or 1.5, I think.
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot going on in your private life, in your personal life, and then starting in with work again. But maybe tell us what was going on with your migraine episodes and your headaches, and symptoms in general around that time.
Well, they were way worse before I was pregnant. And then with pregnancy, it was a little bit better, but still there. And nursing was also it was still better than before pregnancy, but it was still starting to get worse. And then as soon as I stopped breastfeeding, I started noticing a big change that it was starting to ramp up again, like it was pre-pregnancy. And that's when I got in contact with you because I felt like things were kind of manageable before, but they were starting to get out of control again with
Yeah.
migraines. Yeah, I would have,
It feels similar to my story. Sorry to interrupt it. It feels
yeah,
similar to the not great before pregnancy, not so good, like getting worse. And at the point where, yeah, I was, what am I going to do? Because I couldn't, probably similar with you, I wasn't taking any of my acute migraine medication. I was told I couldn't,
hmm
when trying to get pregnant. And then,
hmm
so kind of really pushing through a lot of painful episodes leading up to pregnancy. And fortunately for me, it was much better in pregnancy, like it was for you and with breastfeeding. But then it was after the babies come and then they're not nursing anymore, that's when things can start to escalate again. And yeah, it's anxiety provoking to think, is this going to get back to where it was? And now you've got a small being to take care of and you have less, opportunity to take time out for yourself when you're feeling bad, right?
yeah, exactly. And that was one of my anxieties before getting pregnant, about my migraines, not being able to take care of my child or being like bedbound and just struggling through all that. So that was definitely something that was affecting my whole decision on being a mom too.
Yeah, I know. And that's, the last thing that you want is for something like that, for health reasons to be, for yourself to be the reason to not, bring another being into the world and be able to be a parent. So,
Yeah.
but yes, fortunately, we did connect. Did you want to mention anything though about was there any other health symptoms or issues that were on your radar, or were you mainly focused around, the migraines, headaches, and, I guess what you had to manage them, maybe not being too effective if you wanted to get into that?
Well, there was that. There's definitely my migraines that was number one, but it was also like brain fog and extreme fatigue and just overall not feeling well day to day and just
Mhm.
trying different things and nothing was really working. So just wanted to figure out what was going on.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I remember you coming and saying like, this is it. Like, I want to find what's really the root cause, like what is happening? Why is this happening to me? And how can we make sure that things get better rather than continue
Mm-hmm.
getting worse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how would you normally manage your episodes or your headaches? I know that you would talk about how headaches would turn into migraines if you didn't kind of nip them early or take something soon. Is that mainly what you were doing when you would start feeling symptoms?
Yeah, like I would try to put essential oils or like a cold pack. But if I was at work, I couldn't do the cold pack, so that didn't help her rest.
Hmm.
So I'd normally always have to take a Tylenol, and if I didn't, an extra strength Tylenol, it would normally turn into a migraine, and I would just suffer. So, and I'd eventually have to take one anyway when it got really, really bad with the Gravol. So,
Hmm.
yeah, it was very rare that I can get rid of it without any type of over-the-counter medication. So,
Hmm. Okay. And, how often would you say that you were having headaches that could turn into migraines or, episodes that started right from the start? They started out with, it's an obvious migraine with various symptoms that you knew would last.
well, it would depend on the month and what was going on with my shift work and all that. But most of the time, it'd be very rare that I wouldn't have a headache or a migraine for more than a week and a half. If it had been a week and a half, I was waiting for the next one,
Mm.
and then I couldn't get over a migraine episode, and then 2 days later, get into another migraine that would last 3 to 4 days. So it was some weeks were debilitating for sure.
Yeah. Oh man. And like you say, it hard to work when you're feeling that way.
Yeah. Yeah, so I
Hard
would
to.
miss work. Yeah, I would miss work a
Mm.
lot, or I would go to work and suffer and end up having to leave, or I would come home from work and just to say, like, make it home and have to go to bed for the entire night. And it was just very difficult.
Yeah, hard with a little one at home who wants your attention,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
And were your coworkers very understanding when if you had to leave work early or if you couldn't come in for your shift were they understanding? And how did you feel about having to do that?
I think most of them were to a certain extent. Like people that haven't had migraines, I don't think they understand how bad they are. But my friends that seen me suffer, they seen how much like in pain I was and how much it affected my life. So they did completely understand and feel bad for me and wanted me to get to the root cause for sure. So yeah,
Mhm.
everybody was pretty supportive, especially my husband. He was very supportive of me trying to fix this because it was really affecting like our personal life and our family life. So
Yeah. Yeah, I know the ones that support us and they want us to be feeling better and they want us to, well, be there with them to enjoy, the regular everyday things and the special
exactly.
things. Like yeah, there's probably mixed feelings there where they're like frustrated, just like we are, the
Yeah.
person
Yeah.
suffering is, but also feeling at a loss, like they can't do anything, like helpless, right?
Mhm.
And really just empathetic, I'm sure, but still it's that spot where you don't know what you can do. Just say some reassuring words and be there with, whatever you're asking. Did you ask people for support at that time? Like, do you know, were there ways that people could help you?
Yeah, I would ask, like, if my husband was working, I would ask my mom if she can come and help me because she suffered with migraines too, so she understood. I would normally try to pull through it somehow, but like it didn't go very well. Like I would be really suffering until my husband would get home, and then all the load of everything, making separate, taking care of Clara was all on him, and so that happened quite a few times.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So you mentioned your mom also suffering.
Yeah,
So because I know for me, like seeing the trajectory of my mom's, through the different years and how severe they could be, what she had to do with medication, all that, it kind of put me in a fearful place at a point to think, oh, this is how long I'm going to be dealing with this for. This is how frequent it may become or how severe. Oh, I may need more and more medications and all of this. Did you have that same sensation like before starting working into this? Like, did you also think about that part of it and did that concern you?
oh, definitely. Because she's not suffering with them as much with menopause as she was, but
Mhm.
my dad had migraines as well, and my mom. So I thought I'm going to be suffering with this for forever. So, and I've tried multiple things to try to fix things: chiro, massage, osteo, um, pretty much everything, going to see a neurologist, and they just prescribed some blood pressure medication, which didn't help, or some I forget how it's called, the trypsin medication, like the actual migraine medication.
Yeah.
That just made me feel awful.
Mm.
So I took that for a while, but I would just get rebound migraines from that. So that was terrible as well. So yeah, it was
You
kind of
tried a
felt
lot of
hopeless.
things. Yeah, you felt
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
You felt like kind of stuck. Well, I remember you even saying that you had tried that piercing,
Oh
the ear
yes, yes,
piercing. Was
I did
that the
do that
daith
too. Yeah,
piercing in your ear?
yeah, that did not
And
help.
it didn't help.
No, no. I did acupuncture. I did you
Mhm.
name it. I've tried it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Okay. So then at that point, with given everything you've tried, and not just in your situation, you weren't just trying I mean, experts like neurologists,
mhm.
doctors that's dealt with, I'm sure, other headache and migraine patients. You dealt with the conventional side of things and made sure you were covering your bases there and getting all the advice and trying the things. But then you also are one that was open to alternative therapies, right? Like you said, you did the chiropractor, acupuncture,
Naturopath too,
osteopath,
actually.
naturopath too. Okay, naturopath.
Yeah.
So you were open to it. So what about the migraine resilience method, I guess piqued your interest about and provided that sense of like this may bring the answer, or this may lead me to down this path to improvement when the others maybe if they helped some weren't quite cutting it.
Just when we spoke, how you said that you want to address the root cause and not just the symptoms, and trying to get an overall like better health. So I thought maybe, everything ties in together, and maybe, if you find the root cause and we start working on things, then things will start getting better. So I was hopeful that way that
Yeah.
that we can get to the bottom of it.
Great. Yeah. And I think you might have even, I think you had said at the beginning too, like that, when we first touched in, you had watched an interview or you'd watched
Yeah.
one or more previous
Yes.
members talk about their experience. And you could tell that maybe the approach would be different. And that could be something that was maybe more effective than those other things you had tried on their own, right?
Oh, definitely. Like people that were on way heavier medication were getting very good results. So I
Mhm.
just thought, mine are bad. They're getting bad, but they weren't as bad as that. I didn't want them to get to that point before I started
Mhm.
doing something about it. So yeah, by listening into the interviews and seeing other success stories, that definitely intrigued me to
Yeah.
trying. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Well, thank you for doing this interview today, because it is true that so many times, like, people do need to hear these firsthand accounts of how it went, how they felt through it, what the improvements they saw, and then even see some of the similarities in their own situation, to really believe that it can be something that helps them. So, it makes a big difference. And that's an example of it. So, all
Mhm.
right. So you decided to embark on this, take leave of faith and embark on this path. And we started working together. And
Mhm.
now maybe you can walk us through how things went for you and at what point you did start to notice some improvements and what those improvements were.
Yeah, so pretty much right away I was like 100% in. I really wanted to get to the root cause. So I cut it like with cutting out some dairy and gluten and doing the ginger lemon tea and things like that that you had recommended. I noticed a big difference right away with the frequency and the duration of my headaches. It took me a while before I even got a migraine, I feel, from after doing that.
Mhm.
And then we were trying to address, because my headaches were starting to get a little bit better, we were trying to address why I was still having brain fog and extreme fatigue. And so I was put on a anti-candida diet to address my yeast issue, which that was pretty tough, but definitely worth it.
One of
I
the more
noticed,
more challenging, I will
yes,
say, I
yes,
always kind of am sad when someone when that result comes up for somebody that, okay, we're suspecting this, because it is one of the
mhm,
harder protocols to
yeah,
follow. So, but
yeah,
fortunately there was the guidance through it. So you ease in as you can, as you need to. It's not, I never say that someone has to go in like 100% immediately, and that can almost sometimes cause more problems than it's worth if it results in some kind of reaction in the body where they're almost releasing things too quickly, and
Yeah.
things are kind of, dying off too quickly and evolving too quickly. So you bravely took the leap in to do what you had to do. So at every step, but like when we determined that that was something you needed to do, I know that it was probably a little scary,
It was,
but
yeah.
but you did it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was good to see like some improvements right away. So
Yeah.
saying like, yeah, that's probably what, I'm dealing with. So, and it's good to know whenever if I do feel like that later, I can go back to that protocol and get things in control again. So just knowing that there was like a deeper issue too was nice to
Yeah.
address, even though it was tough.
Yeah, because that symptom form that you filled out at the start, right? There's over 100 different symptoms listed, and you had most of them, I will say,
Yeah.
right? You had
Yeah.
ranked most symptoms in there as at a severe slash or frequent or a regular, at least like a 2 or a 3 out of 3. Let's say
Yeah.
you were said, I have this symptom, like all the way down, you could just see 2s and 3s. And so your final sort of system scores, like, you had fairly high scores for, not everybody comes in, even though severity of migraine can be the same. And severity of migraine can be, you know, frequency and severity can be similar between two people, but somebody scores will be much lower, and we have to address these things. And then somebody with high scores, it doesn't mean that the migraines are any worse or better. It's just, but it's a sign that it explains, it shows that something is definitely happening under there. And the nice thing about that is with the root cause approach, right? With this functional approach, it's across the board, things will improve. And that's is what you saw. Would you say were some of those other top symptoms, like in the first, month or two, that you also saw improve? You mentioned energy
Mm-hmm.
for
Yeah.
one. And
Yeah.
I know a lot of those symptoms do relate to digestion. So I know
Yeah.
many things that they're improved for you too. Were there
Yeah.
ones though that you really noticed, like either visually or physically, even things that maybe you didn't quite even realize were a problem until they were gone and you were like, this is.
Well, no, not more like the brain fog. Like that was
Mm,
like, oh wow, like it was like every day was a pretty significant amount of brain fog. So when it started lifting, it
mm,
just felt like, oh my goodness, like it felt way better.
mhm.
Other than that, maybe my sleep improved a little bit.
Yeah, we're
My
still
stress
working on that
levels,
one.
yeah, my
And
stress
hard with a
level,
toddler, that's a part of it, right? Like that is,
yeah,
but we know it's more than that for you. But it
yeah,
didn't help when maybe you would finally start to get maybe some better sleep. You'd be sleeping maybe better, and then little one would get sick. You'd
it's
be up in
like
the middle
that's
of the
right, yeah,
night. That's really tough.
yeah,
But
exactly.
yes, but we can control only what we can control. So, um, yeah. And sorry, what else would you say was noticeably improved
Um,
for you?
just like the stress levels, I just found I
Mm,
was like more in tune with what to pay attention to my stress and kind of try to relax a little bit more and just not to induce migraines for no reason and just be in that fight or flight mode all the time. So I find
mhm,
that changed a lot, and I'm trying to
mhm,
think my digestion for sure changed a lot, and my energy had increased as well. So
mm.
all
Yeah, and
that
I
was
know there is usually when tied in with, well, with tied in with clarity of thought and like brain fog and pain and digestion is mood, right? A lot of times people, if they have the gut stuff going on, if they've got pain, it can really play with your moods, right? Like you can,
Mhm.
I know that you had signaled in the beginning, like some things that you weren't happy about, that you would like be, feeling some emotions that a little too strongly, that more strongly than you would like, more frequently that you would like, right? Some more of the negative
Yeah.
things. So, and I know that was something you had noted through your redoing that symptoms chart, what was it, 12, 6, 14, 16 weeks in,
Hmm.
you redid that and wow, your scores all like across the board came down. I think sleep is really the piece, which is interesting because a lot of times the not getting quality sleep consistently is a really, really big part of all other things.
Hmm.
Certainly something we want to tackle, but I know in your situation, it's still the hurdle we need to, the thing we still need to troubleshoot a little more, or maybe have a little more time in on the protocols that you're doing,
Yeah.
and move on to the next phase of them, let's say, before maybe that will improve. But yeah, so many things like
Yeah, for
all
sure.
symptoms across the board, which is really impressive.
Like irritability, even like that had changed as well. And I had noticed a difference as well with that, and just feeling just more like at peace, I guess. That's
Hmm.
I must be with the digestion and just feeling overall better helps your mood.
Yeah, yeah,
Unless,
absolutely. And I know that, part of the yeast overgrowth issue too, it's not the reason for cravings for everybody, but it can be a
mm,
significant reason for cravings, specifically for sugar processed things. And in your case, this is what was happening. So we were addressing that from a physiological standpoint. I don't feel like we needed to do too much. I know that you put so much effort into this a whole way through, so I'm not going to speak for you, but just naturally, I believe your cravings were addressed at a certain point, right, where you weren't feeling like you needed to reach for those things that were only going to exacerbate your
mhm.
imbalance and your situation. But I know that was one thing that was pretty well within, I'd say 10 to 12 weeks, you were consistently reporting like, hey, I'm not getting these cravings like I used to, which makes it so much easier then, right, to follow a protocol like that and to
Yeah.
be able to stick to a plan.
Yeah, when you start to feel better, you just don't want to introduce anything
Mm.
that's going to make you feel ill. So it kind of, and you don't, your body doesn't want it as much. So it's weird, but
Yeah.
it does work like that.
Yeah. So cool. Uh, so at this point, when we're, let's say end of the 16 weeks, where were you at in terms of headaches, migraines, anything of significance that you feel you're, happy about where you landed?
Yeah, so I haven't had as many, that's for sure, of headaches. I'd say maybe one headache every couple of weeks. I don't even remember. The severity is so minimal. Like I could take a salt water drink and it would be gone within 10-15 minutes. So I don't even consider it really a headache. The migraines, I might have had two severe in the entire program, which was 4.5 months, right? So that's huge. And I was also able to get rid of all my headaches, all my migraines, just with the holistic methods of the tricks. And I haven't had to take any medication since I started the program. So it's been amazing. Yeah,
That is
very,
amazing.
yeah.
Yeah. That's really impressive. And the fact that you were able to stick with, walk through the steps as needed. You showed up every week. You continued to want to dig further, even when you did have pretty fast results for the headaches and the migraine
Mm-hmm.
episodes. You did have pretty fast results with being able to address them more naturally versus going towards the medication. But given the range of your other symptoms, and again, like flagging many, many symptoms out of two or three, and you knew though that if you didn't continue to work at this to get at the actual root cause, things could ramp up again. These natural techniques might not work forever, and you may end up with other types of issues, right? You were very aware of that, so you stuck with it, which is again impressive because some people might say, hey, I'm good now, like I'm doing really well, this isn't really necessary. You could have said when I when I proposed to you that we follow this protocol, this anti-candida plan, you could have said, well, I'm actually doing pretty good now. I'm okay. Like this seems too strict, but you did it, you went for it, and you continued to see additional results and improvements across the board as a result of that, right? Like, looking at those system scores, so that the totals that get calculated once you report on all your symptoms, these are related to your digestive system, your intestinal system, your cardiovascular system, your endocrine system or your hormonal system, and your nervous system, like all the systems, right? Like the main core systems, there's a total calculated, and you had pretty high scores for all of them. And now they're all down, like all of your scores are down by over 55%. You
Yeah,
saw that. I sent you a
yeah,
screen cap of
amazing.
like the
Yeah.
comparison, and that's in 4 months. So
Mm-hmm.
had you not gone through these steps, this could have continued on for another year, 2 years, 3 years, right? Until,
Mm-hmm.
who knows? I don't know how much higher the scores may have gone, but it's still a testament to your efforts. This is like a reflection of all of that commitment that you put into it. And participation in this whole thing, because I didn't do it. This is what you did.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm so happy for you. Like, I'm so happy that you got results early and that you were able to, because low energy is not something to, you know, we don't, we have to take this seriously. And we also, it's not easy, like having low energy levels, having fatigue all the time. That, I mean, there's the pain and the migraine episode symptoms other than fatigue that are awful, especially things like nausea, things like, the dizziness, any dizziness, if someone experiences that. There's definitely some that I would put a little, they're ranked a bit differently, right, than others. But fatigue it can be all consuming. The cognitive, like the brain fog stuff, that these can also be debilitating, and people sometimes dismiss them as serious, or they'll kind of put them as, secondary and not a big deal. Like, especially if you're talking about employers or friends or family, if you say, I'm tired all the time, or I'm fatigued, like, it's not going to be taken as seriously as if you're bedridden in intense pain, or,
Yeah.
you've got obvious like outward symptoms of something. So the fact that you stuck with it and then you're able to then improve to that level, I think is really fantastic and important. And yeah, good for you for sticking with it. Even as you were feeling fatigued in those early days, you were still taking the steps despite feeling kind of, low energy and maxed out, I'm sure.
Yeah, with your guidance, of course, it was easy to stick with it and continue on, and just seeing that there was progress, of course, that helped.
Oh, well, yeah, like I say, I'm just so happy for you. This is the whole goal, is to get results like this. So it's super
Yeah.
fantastic. And is there anything else that you wanted to share about your experience, about your results, or about, any words of wisdom to anyone who may be thinking of joining on to something like this or committing to something that would address the root causes?
Well, I was very skeptical to join. As you remember, I asked a lot of questions. I watched a lot of interviews. It took me months before I actually decided to do the program, because I was tired of doing a bunch of things and nothing ever worked. So I wanted to make sure that I was going to put my money towards something that was actually going to help me. And and I'm very, very happy I did. I would recommend it to anybody that has migraines. Anybody that tells me that they have migraines, that I know, friends of mine, I all recommend doing the program. It's more than worth it. And if, God forbid, but if later on in life, during menopause or something, I rank up and I start getting into a roadblock again, like 100%, I'm coming back to see you. So I know it works. I feel a lot better with my health, and I feel more in control of my disease. Like you say, we're always going to probably have this disease for a lifetime, but if we can control it and manage it, then it's not going to be as debilitating anymore. Just even going on a trip, I went to Cuba, and normally have such anxiety. I'm going to get a migraine on the plane. I'm not going to sleep well, just everything like that. And I didn't even have my medication on me. I wasn't stressed about it. I wasn't worried about it. I never have my meds on me anymore. And it's really like relieving. It's amazing, actually.
Oh, wow. Well, thanks for sharing all of that with us. Wow. And you know what? I appreciate your support and in recommending it. It's all about helping whoever can benefit from this. That is what it's
Yeah.
about. And that's why we have those conversations. We take the time to make the decision. It is a big decision, right? It's a big
Yeah.
commitment. It's 16 weeks. It's a time investment. It's a financial investment.
Mhm.
It's you do have to believe in the possibility of improvement, and which I'm so happy that you did, despite everything, trying so many things, like I said. And yeah, it's a gut feel, but it is a leap of faith, and it's also a yeah, decision made on information and knowing that getting at the roots and taking a functional approach, it has a different process than other avenues. And there's no coming out of it without any gain, that's for sure. You're always gonna, when you're moving through these steps, you're always gonna be able to unravel to a degree. And especially when you're putting in the commitment, it has to go both ways. But you did amazing. You got
Thank you.
fantastic results, and I'm
Thank
so happy for you. And absolutely, if I hope that you'll never need to,
Yeah.
to work
Yeah,
together
me
in the
too.
future, because I hope that you'll be good and not have to have any regression or anything new come up, but you never know. So
Mhm.
absolutely reach back out if ever it's needed. But for now,
Yeah.
good luck with your progress, your continued progress, whether we continue working together for a little while longer or not. I know that you'll keep taking the important steps that will
Yeah.
get you continued improvements. And that's pretty exciting. So
Yes, it is.
thanks for
Amazing.
spending time with us today to share your story, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Julie, for everything.
Okay, have a
All
good
right.
rest of your
Okay.
day. Bye.
And bye.